Everybody faces from time to time that nagging challenge, that situation that just lingers, it defies resolution. And a great example is a friend of mine who suffered a knee injury. Now, to the good, he's had treatment, physical therapy, he's gone through the complete recuperation process. And just when you're ready to put it behind you and move forward with all that God has for him, there's this lingering situation, that nagging challenge, that anchor holding him back, which in his case, it's the medical bill. Now, bizarrely, there is actually insurance coverage. And that kind of becomes the issue because there's actually two different insurance companies involved, and both seem to have a legitimate argument on why the other should pay. However, the medical professionals don't care. They just want to get paid. And so the pressure is falling on him and on his family. And while he could pay the bill, it's a significant financial setback. But when going through those seasons, there is often that aspect where it's gone on so long, you're so frustrated. You want to be able to be free from that thing holding you back. That is, okay, God, I'll pay. What do you want me to do? It's that moment of where we're completely surrendered. And we want that surrender to be the point that brings that freedom. But in his case, what's happening is very clearly God is continuing to push him to call again, pick up the phone, make another call. Yeah, again, remember, this isn't in the context of him just being absolutely committed to, I'm going to be victorious in this. Frankly, he's at the point of frustration of, God, if this is what it takes, I'll pay. But he does. He has that very clear perspective of God nudging him, as frustrated as he is, to call again. And it becomes that point when all of us ask, why? Why, God? You are all powerful. You're amazing. You love me. Why isn't there resolution? Why isn't this going away? Why is this holding me back? And that frustration just continues to build. But it also is that reminder that there are times and seasons that God actually allows that lingering situation, not on a permanent basis, but what God is actually doing. You see, we cannot lead others into what we have not successfully navigated ourselves. That in this era of deception, God is calling for leaders who are absolutely authentic, and not authentic in their message, but also authentic in experience, that what they're sharing, the wisdom, the insights, come from personal experience. They've seen the faithfulness of God through that challenge. And one of the most profound challenges that we all face is that lingering situation, things that are not resolved quickly, whatever it may be. So whether it's in our health, business, ministry, finance, family, whatever category, doesn't matter. We love God's instant results. We all do. But frequently, God will allow you and I to go through that lingering situation, that nagging challenge. And it's not a reflection of his displeasure, but in fact, it is a sign of his empowerment, that he's stretching each of us as leaders, that he is bringing more into us. He's imparting more insight, more revelation, more strength, more maturity. And while and I say this all the time, we like to narrow it down to one thing, that there's something to learn, but God is always doing things at a multifaceted level. Everything God does has multiple points of impact. And so it's just that reminder that God is calling his people higher. And while that sounds fantastic at a superficial level, it also requires this increased strength, increased maturity, increased experience. that what we lead others into, we have to have that authenticity that we've been through. Maybe not exactly what they're going through, but we understand that season of delayed victory. And what it is a reminder of is for each one of us that rather than getting frustration, that rather than coming to that point where we want to throw our hands up, is that recognition of continual going back to God and not surrendering. As frustrating as it is, as much as we want to be done with that season, that issue, whatever it may be, as much as we want to put it behind us and move forward, it's that reminder that we should only stop, we should only give up when we are directed to by God. That in the process, even when the victory is not rapid, God is at work. He's developing character, qualities, traits that will empower others. That lingering situation, that nagging challenge, ultimately isn't really about us, but how we will be able to empower others in the future.